space. Peter draws in a video. It's just another day. All right, welcome everyone. My name's Peter, and today we're going to be looking at the Narwhal pen. Let me put my guitar down. This pen was sent to me by Gold Spot Pens. You can see here it says Narwhal Poseidon Blue. Fine. I think this is a fairly new pen from them by Narwhal Pens. There is a very cool and exclusive club that will know what I mean when I say that the Narwhal beckons at midnight. The pen in the box is packaged very comfortably. So we can get it out of here. Oh, nothing else in here, but I like that. The minimal, very minimalistic packaging. I approve of that. All right, so these are silver clips and accents here. The band around it here says Narwhal. A little bit of silver here. Let's pop the cap off. Oh, it screws off. And there's the nib with, a cute little narwhal on there. I like that. It's different. It says Narwhal, and there is a narwhal. Did you know? All right. First of all, if you look up narwhals, the first thing that pops up, at least for me on my search results, is the National Geographic site, which I thought was kind of scholarly and scientific, but they say narwhals, the unicorns of the sea. Some people don't even know that narwhals are real because they look like a whale or a dolphin with a unicorn horn, right? But unicorns aren't real, and I don't think they should compare them to a fictional mythological beast, right? That just seems weird to me coming from what I thought was a scientific journal, but I guess they're not. They just post pictures. I'm not quite sure what's going on with it, but it makes me feel weird, that's all. I was fascinated to find out that the Narwhal Tusk, the horn coming out of their nose, is not a tusk in the same way that a rhinoceros has a tusk, because I think a rhinoceros tusk is made out of the same thing as our fingernails are, whatever that is. A narwhal tusk is actually their left canine tooth that goes straight out of their mouth, like so. They say 1 in every 500 male narwhals has 2 of them, like so. And only 15% of female narwhals have them. But apparently they're not actually that useful because the female narwhals live longer. So maybe they're actually a hindrance. They get in the way, which would be totally understandable. If I had a 3-meter long tooth sticking out the front of my face, I think the orthodontist probably would have taken care of that for me. Anyways, going on to the pen now. Obviously this is very water themed, right? I like it. Sometimes these, it's kind of popular to make pens out of various acrylic patterns, right? I guess they just make acrylic blocks and then they use some kind of lathe to carve them down. And sometimes it bothers me a little bit. This one I like mostly because it reminds me of fluid dynamics, like that one video when I blew out the candle here and the smoke was flowing and stuff, right? It kind of reminds me of smoke flowing, or what you get when you drop food coloring into the water or ink, right? It reminds me of that. I like all these swoops and swirls, and there's little shimmers going on there. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Once again, I think I've seen this before. There's a little mirror here in the cap of the pen. Also, I want to see what happens when I unscrew this. Is this like the Opus 88 I had? Wait a second. This part isn't unscrewing. Is it? I don't want to break it as soon as I get it. There were a surprising lack of instructions in this box, weren't there? Because usually, there's at least a little pamphlet. Maybe all you're supposed to do is stick the pen in the ink and then unscrew this. Maybe the whole thing is a piston. that's all I can guess. Should I try that? All right, so here's my idea for today's project, right? Something I want to try watercolor again. Got my palette of watercolors here. My friend Darvoid sent these to me, and he made this for me. I would not have had the patience to do all this, but it's very useful, right? And so I have this and this. Got all my brushes, some of which Darvoid also gave to me, but I got my own. So I've got the nice silver black velvet brushes. I've got everything I need to do watercolor, including some nice Arches paper, right? So what I'm going to do is, in the past when I've done watercolor art, I usually do the watercolor first and then do lines on top of it. But this time I'm going to do the lines first and then try watercoloring on top of that. So basically coloring my own art, which is weirdly not something I do very often, partly because most of the ink I use in my fountain pens is not waterproof. But now I'm using this platinum black carbon ink, which is very waterproof, mildly to extremely waterproof. It should work a lot better anyways, so we're going to try that. Well, I should put some of this in the pen and see if it works. So you've seen all the things I'm working with. Let's see if the pen works. I like it. I like the pen. I think it's about $45. I should double check. Yeah, the pen is $45, and interestingly enough, I think this bottle of ink is about $22, but ink goes a long way as long as you're not splashing it around everywhere. Like, this has lasted me a long time. It's a good investment. And a lot of us have a lot of different inks. Like, if you get into the fountain pen hobby, you really start accumulating things. Or at least I have. I probably have like 30 bottles of ink, which I could show you this. At some point, I want to show you the collection, but then I'm also like, but what if I buy a few more? Then the longer I wait to show you the collection, the more impressive my collection will be. I'll show it to you sometime. Anyways, we should get started. Let me fill this up. I have no idea what I'm going to draw, by the way. I don't know what I'm going to draw, but I want to draw. Let's see if the whole pen is a piston. Oh, there's like a little bubble of ink on top of the bottle. Can you see that? That's pretty cool. I'm going to pop it. Oh, it popped by itself. When it popped, it put little splatters of ink everywhere all over this paper. That's dangerous. I wonder if I can recreate that. There it is again. A little bubble of ink. All right. You want the tip to be fully submerged, I think. I hope it's getting ink in there right now. It doesn't seem like that's like doesn't seem like that goes very far up, you know? Like, how much ink could that really be squeezing up in there? Oh, it's nice and juicy. I kind of like this type of pen with it. It has like a little bit of a ball tip on the end there. All right, it seems to be working pretty good. We'll see if I have to refill it at all. Like, if I have to refill it pretty soon, then we'll know that I filled it up wrong and it was really just holding some ink in the nib, and we'll see. Play it by ear. Trial and error. It's a good way to learn. Also, I will say that when it comes to your own art, Squarespace has a lot of great tools for professional portfolio designs and galleries for displaying your art and getting it out there to the rest of the world. And once you have images of your art, you can easily import it from your computer or somewhere else on the internet, whether it's Twitter or Instagram or somewhere else. And then it automatically scales all the images and fits them, and it all just kind of settles in together and looks very professional and crisp and clean, even though you might not know anything about web design. It'll look good. It'll look like you know what you're doing. So go to squarespace.com for your free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/PeterDraws for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Okay, let's get into this. And so, 9 minutes and 40 seconds into the video, Peter finally starts drawing. Have these videos gotten out of hand? Has Peter lost his way? Is this still Peter Draws, or is it Peter rambles on and on about fountain pens while fiddling with them and trying to figure out how they work? Is this still truly a drawing channel, or is Peter starting to get
overwhelmed by the increasingly overwhelming backlog of pens to review. No, everything's okay. Everything is gonna be fine. Now, the pen did work pretty well for drawing. I do prefer these types of pens that don't flex very much for drawing, and this one did. The ink flow was very good. I experienced no skips whatsoever. I do, for some reason, just want to draw very fast and loose and sketchy with fountain pens for some reason. With my rotating isographs, I usually want to slow it down, be very careful and precise, but in the back of my mind, I knew that after I finished this drawing, I was going to come back in with watercolors lately. So for some reason, I wanted this to kind of look like, something you might find in a coloring book. So I wanted all the lines to be nice and, precise. And I didn't really need to do this, is what I'm saying. Like, I could have had it all nice and loose and sketchy, and I still could have watercolored on top of it afterwards, right? There's not any rules like that. But this is how it happened. As you see the drawing unfold here, I didn't know what it was going to be at first, but it ended up kind of looking like a weird collection of maybe magical items kind of floating in the air. Maybe, if you might see here, it kind of looks like there's maybe like a can of something exploding, and then like a chest, like a box of some magical stuff, maybe a staff, a mace, a magical mace, a sword, maybe like a quiver or a little sheath of something, and maybe right down there in the middle, a palantir. I don't actually record these commentaries while I'm looking at the video, so I'm not sure at what point all of this stuff appears in the video, but all of that stuff will be there at some point, and it will be colored in with watercolor. It's very difficult. I could spend a great deal of time talking about how inadequate I feel at watercolor, but I don't think that's a very productive conversation to have. So I'll leave it at that. I'll just say that I think I would be better if I spent more time watercoloring, and I think that would be a good use of my time because I think watercolor is beautiful, but it's just so different than what I normally do, right? A pen is, right, it puts a line down just where you draw, where you drag the tip of the pen across the tape paper, that's where the ink appears. But then like a watercolor, like it's just so different. Like the ink, the pigment, the water, it can like splash out, wash across the paper, different shades and values, and then different things happen when it dries. And it's just weird thinking about how there's like a puddle of water on the paper sometimes, depending on how you do the watercolor painting. There's like a puddle with like color particles suspended in the puddle, kind of floating around, and then the water evaporates as you let it dry. Or sometimes I do kind of dry my brush out and soak some of the water back up, or use a paper towel. There's a million different ways you can do watercolor, just like there's so many different ways to do pen drawing, right? But all the little color particles floating in this tiny little puddle on the paper, and then the water evaporates, leaving the color particles to rest down onto the paper and kind of get the color particles seep into the paper and become part of the paper and kind of wiggle their way down into the like, I can't think of the word, like the grain of the paper, right? I'm doing some weird hand motion right now. I'm like, I can't, it's too early in the morning. By too early in the morning, I mean, it's 12:38 p.m., but I slept in because I stayed up late working on this video. It's fine. I would like to do more watercolor in the future. Maybe if I do this again, I will do it nice and sketchy instead of being so careful with the drawing. And then maybe I can also be less careful with the watercolor, keep that loose. Maybe just take less time for all of it. I feel like this is one of those things I just need to pump out a bunch of these, right? Like I've probably done 1,000, 2,000, maybe 3,000 drawings, but I've probably only done 10, 15 I don't know how many watercolors I've done, but it's way, way, way less watercolors. I'm convinced that to get good at things, to feel comfortable with them, you just need to do it a lot, really, whether it's drawing, playing an instrument, driving, doing the dishes, talking to people, any of these things. The more you do it, the greater the chances that you'll just feel comfortable with it. And the more comfortable you feel with it, you'll probably enjoy it a lot more. Not to say I don't enjoy watercolor, but yes. Anyways, I think it turned out well. I would like to get better at layering the watercolors. I would enjoy that. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like I'm racing against... Oh no, did I just talk about watercolors for like 5 minutes after saying that I didn't want to talk about watercolors for 5 minutes? It's okay. Everything's fine. Anyways, I don't know what else I was going to talk about. How are you guys doing? How is your new year going? Mine's going pretty good. I'm recording this commentary on the 9th, and then school starts for me again on the 13th. So by my calculations, that's in 4 days, which is terrifying, but I'm excited. This semester I have a chair making class, that's pretty exciting, right? You guys, I'm excited to share with you any chairs I'm going to make. I don't know if I'm going to be able to record any chairs, like record the process. I would love to record the process, but that just, like last semester I started to record, like I made 2 videos of projects I did, but then it just kind of doubled my work. Like I was recording the things I was doing, and then I would finish the projects, and then they would assign the next project, and then I would still have the whole video to make from the last project, and then I would feel like it was so much to do. I don't know. So we'll see. I would love to make videos of the chairs, but I'll have to figure out how to pace myself and not get overwhelmed by it, because when you record like a long project like that takes days and days and days, it's just a lot of footage to go through. So I'd love to, I don't know. We'll see. But I'm excited about making chairs for some reason, like just that hands-on, practical, and there's so many ways a chair can exist. I never really thought about it before until the opportunity was presented to me. Like, there was never a point in my life when I was like, yeah, I'd love to make a chair. But now I really want to make a chair. Multiple chairs. Anyone here ever wanted to make a chair? I mean, I bet a lot of us are sitting in chairs right now. Anyways, I'm going to go now. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm pretty happy with how the drawing and the painting turned out. Like I said, I haven't really done it this way before, with the drawing and then the painting. Usually I do it the other way around. And I think it turned out okay. All right. Goodbye, everyone. Have a good day. And yeah. All right. Goodbye.